Winter is here. Now that means one of two things. Firstly, the seasonal depression is about to hit like an absolute freight train. And secondly, it's about to start snowing. And here's a hot take for you. Snow drifting is the most fun you can have in a car. If you've ever done it, you'll know exactly what I mean. And if you haven't, well, not to worry, because you can now do it in a Assetto Corsa. Although I wouldn't recommend doing it in a Ferrari like I am here, because it's an absolute pain in the backside. With 517 horses, all being delivered to the rear wheels, I'd probably pick the worst drivetrain you could choose to drive on the snow. And given the fact this rear engine has an electronic handbrake and no clutch, you've practically got to dance on the pedals just to get this thing around corners. I've been recording for about an hour so far, and this is a 5-minute road. You can probably do the maths on how many times I've crashed. So if you're watching this, you'll know I've probably done a pretty good run. I'm just modulating the throttle here just to keep the perfect angle. Too little and I'll understeer into the closest tree. Too much and I'll oversteer into it. It's very similar to rally driving in that sense, where the wheel is nothing but a suggestion for the car to follow. You've really got to know how to manipulate the weight of the car to rotate it around every corner. And if you don't, you'll learn bloody quick, because it's absolutely brutal. But I have to say, it isn't that close to real life snow drifting. Whomever made this track mod has clearly never driven in the snow, because there's way too much grip. I should not be driving this fast uphill in a 570 horsepower car. It is rear wheel drive, suffice to say. If this was real life, we'd probably still be stuck at the bottom. Although good news, once we reach the top of the mountain, I will be showing you how to get the most realistic snow drifting experience in Assetto Corsa, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Then we'll be rocketing this supercar down the other side of the mountain, downhill, and I would be absolutely shitting it if I had to do that in real life, because it's scary enough in Assetto Corsa. And hopefully I can get my words out on the downhill too, to tell you what techniques I'm using to drive a car like this on the least grippy surface in existence. You can see my pedal inputs there on the top left of the screen. You can see I'm going absolutely happy feet on this motherfucker. That's about 25 grand's worth of damage right there. I think my tyres are cooked already. I can't keep it straight. Luckily we're at the top of the mountain. Let's try and keep it tidy on the fastest section here. Practically flat. Almost losing it there on the exit. Now I want to try and do a 360 drift here just to send the uphill off. Not quite. Not quite. So this is it. This is what realistic snow drifting looks like. We're travelling at a slow speed, barely getting past 40 k's, and that's not because we're in an E30. It's because there's no bloody grip on snow. You wouldn't believe it given you what you just witnessed, but this is what it's like. This particular mod was designed for snow drifting, but it has studded tyres, meaning it has, again, too much grip. And if you want to get the most realistic snow drifting experience, you need to double up on the low grip mods. And doing so gives you a really good representation of what it's actually like. It's kind of like driving a boat in a sense, because the actions you take won't have an immediate effect like they do on tarmac. If I get on the throttle too much now, I'm going to spin out 5 seconds later. So I need to really think about every input I make into the car well before it happens, which makes this really, really good drifting practice for whatever surface you're on. You get an intimate understanding of every control in the car, because everything from the wheel to the pedals has multiple uses when you're drifting. And because you don't need to worry too much about crashing, you can really experiment with them and perfect your techniques. I mean, it's probably not a coincidence that rally has been dominated by countries where it snows regularly. Riding that guardrail, perfect timing. But this is legitimately how fast you will be drifting on the snow, barely getting past 40, and if you do go above 40, you're probably going to die, because the brakes do absolutely nothing in way of slowing you down, which is absolutely terrifying. I remember my first time snow drifting. I was learning how to on a roundabout. I started understeering towards a traffic island, so I pressed the brakes, which just made the understeer worse. I soon learned that you need to throttle out of every sticky situation. Because you can't slow down, the only way to get out of it is to add more power and slide away from it, which is scary. Although one of the downsides is you're going to be revving your engine a lot, like I am right here. I drifted for 20 minutes non-stop in my Z4, which has the bulletproof M54 engine, until I heard a massive clang. And every time I revved the engine from there, it was just clunk, clunk, clunk. I thought it was a rod knock. and that I'd have to scrap my car after drifting in the snow, but luckily it was just a serpentine belt that had gone brittle in the snow. But that absolutely shit me up and taught me the importance of mechanical sympathy. So if you're going to do this in real life, look after your cars, you'll appreciate it later. So here we go on the downhill. Let's see if we can keep it tidy. This is where I always crash. We're already travelling at such a high speed, we need to somehow bleed that off, because it's only going to get steeper. As you can see right here, I'm going to get on the brakes. Hopefully we don't understeer too much. Going to get off the brakes, use the throttle to get around the corner. Now let's do a little bit of a scandy flip with a blip on the throttle just to get that rear end out, so we can actually get turned around the corner. Going to get on the brakes now just to induce that transfer sooner and more violently, just to get us around that corner once again. You can see I'm riding the brake through most of these corners, and that's because this thing is rear engined, meaning as soon as I get on the throttle, all that weight is being shifted to the rear axle, which is not what we want, because that means the fronts have no grip, meaning we can't steer. So we have to ride the brake to keep that weight balanced, and sometimes put all the weight onto the front axle. So those front wheels have purchase on the snow. We can actually do some semblance of steering. Got to balance the car here. Full throttle. This is a very fast section. We don't want to carry too much speed because we will crash into that guardrail. Got to kind of keep the car at the perfect angle here. Onto a straight. Got to brake before we even reach halfway down the straight, just so we can slow down enough and get turned in here. Again, balancing the car with the throttle. We do not want to spin out here. Oh, another fast section. I really need to manage my speed here because there's a very dangerous corner coming up. This is where I always crash. So deceptive. It looks like you've got lots of room to slow down, but you really don't. It's a sharp corner, and see, that little blip of the throttle was just too much and it carried us wide. That is where I've crashed every single time. Such a hard corner in the snow. Now let's try and not repeat the same mistake. I've got to be even more careful with our throttle inputs here. You see, just a bit too much there. Made us go wide. It's like the physics are almost reversed. Fast right-hander here that chucks us straight into a hairpin. Let's see if we can actually get slowed down. No handbrake, of course. It is an electronic handbrake. No clutch either for those clutch kicks. So we're drifting, as the purists would say, properly. Drifting purists think handbrakes and clutches are cheat codes. So it's a good thing we're not using any of those. Now this should be an interesting corner. Fast sweeping corner into an acute hairpin downhill. This is a tough one to get right. Oh, alright, let's see if we can finish this run off properly now. Let's keep it tidy. Let's do some massive flicks into this corner. See, I got on the brake and the car still didn't turn. We was understeering for a moment there before I got on the throttle to save it, and that's exactly what I mean. You have to power out of everything, which is hard to get used to, but it's invaluable once you do learn it. Let's see if we can do a 360 here to finish it off. On the brake, back on the throttle. Almost, we took a bit of snow burn there, but I'll take it. That was clean. What a good run that was as well. That was snow drifting. Try it out. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas.